My name is Emma. I am writing this story because I need someone to know the truth about what happened in my father's house. The house where my stepmother and stepsisters tried to break me. The house where I learned that fairy tales can turn dark. I remember the day everything changed. I was 13 when my father brought home his new wife, Catherine. She smiled at me, but her eyes were cold, like winter frost on a window. "Emma," my father said, placing his hand on my shoulder. "This is Catherine, and these are your new sisters, Victoria and Rose." The two girls stood behind their mother. They were both older than me. Victoria was 16 and Rose was 15. They looked at me like I was something they had found on the bottom of their expensive shoes. "What a simple child," Catherine said, her voice soft but sharp. She touched my cheek with her cold fingers. "We will have to do something about that." My father didn't notice the way her nails dug into my skin. He was too happy, too in love to see what was hiding behind Catherine's beautiful smile. That night, I sat in my room and looked at my mother's picture. She had died 3 years ago, but I still talked to her every night. "I miss you, Mom," I whispered, touching the photo. "I'm scared. Oh, something feels wrong about them." I didn't know then how right I was. 2 months later, my father went on a business trip. That's when everything changed. "Emma." Catherine's voice rang through the house. "Come down here, now." I ran downstairs. Catherine stood in the living room, holding my mother's old silver necklace. "Where did you find this?" I asked. My heart was beating fast. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "In your room. Such a pretty thing, but you don't deserve it." "That was my mother's," I said. My voice was shaking. "Please, give it back." Victoria and Rose appeared behind their mother. They were always there, like shadows, waiting to join in whenever Catherine was cruel to me. "Your mother?" Catherine laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. "Your mother is dead. And this," she dropped the necklace on the floor, "this is trash." She stepped on it. The silver chain broke under her heel. I felt something break inside me, too. "No!" I cried, falling to my knees to pick up the pieces. "Look at her," Rose sneered, "crying over a piece of junk." Victoria kicked the broken pieces away from my reaching hands. "Pathetic." "Get up," Catherine ordered. She grabbed my arm and pulled me to my feet. "From now on, things will be different. You want to stay in this house? You'll earn your keep." That was the beginning. Every day they gave me more work to do. Cleaning, cooking, washing. My hands became rough and red. My clothes grew old and dirty. But the worst part wasn't the work. The worst part was the loneliness. They took away my phone. They told my teachers I was being homeschooled now. They made sure I had no friends, no one to talk to. Who would want to be friends with you anyway? Victoria would say, watching me scrub the floors. "Look at her." Rose would laugh. "She's nothing but a servant." But at night, in my small room in the attic, I still had my mother's picture, and I still talked to her. "I'll be strong, Mom," I would whisper. "I won't let them break me." Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. My father's business trips got longer and longer. When he was home, Catherine and my stepsisters acted different. They pretended to be kind. And I pretended too. I pretended everything was fine, because I knew my father wouldn't believe me if I told him the truth. Catherine had made sure of that. "Your daughter is troubled," I heard her tell him one night. "She makes up stories. She needs help." But I wasn't making up stories. The bruises on my arms were real. The hunger in my stomach was real. The tears I cried at night were real. One evening, while cleaning the library, I found an old book. It was hidden behind other books, covered in dust. The cover was black leather, and there were strange symbols on it. "What are you doing?" Catherine's voice made me jump. She stood in the doorway, her eyes fixed on the book in my hands. I was just cleaning," I said. She moved so fast I didn't see her coming. Suddenly she was right in front of me, snatching the book from my hands. "Never touch this book," she hissed. Her face was different somehow. In the dim light, her eyes seemed to glow. "Go to your room. No dinner tonight." That night, I heard strange sounds coming from downstairs. Voices chanting in a language I didn't understand. A smell like burning herbs filled the house. I crept to my door and opened it just a crack. What I saw made my blood freeze. Catherine and my stepsisters were standing in a circle in the hallway below. They were wearing long black robes. The book I had found was open in Catherine's hands, and she was reading from it. The words seemed to float in the air like smoke. "Soon," I heard her say, "when the moon is full, we will have what we need." Victoria and Rose replied in that strange language, their voices not sounding human anymore. I closed my door quietly and sat on my bed, shaking. What was happening in my father's house? What were they planning? Little did I know I would find out soon enough, and when I did, I would wish I'd never found that book. 3 days later, I discovered what they were planning. It started with a letter that arrived in the morning mail. "You're invited." I read the golden words on the black envelope before Catherine snatched it from my hands. "The mayor's son is having a ball," she announced, her eyes gleaming. "All young ladies in the city are invited." Victoria and Rose squealed with excitement. "It's perfect," Victoria said. "Just in time." "Just in time for what?" I asked. They all turned to look at me, as if they had forgotten I was there. Catherine's smile was cruel. "Nothing that concerns you," she said. "You won't be going." But I had seen something in their eyes when they looked at me. Something hungry, something that made me feel cold inside. That night, I couldn't sleep. The voices came again from downstairs. The strange chanting, the smell of burning herbs. The things that concerned me. Something slipped through, something I had forgotten. They were saying a name? James? The name floated up through the floorboards. James Montgomery. I knew that name. Everyone did. James Montgomery was the mayor's son, the one having the ball. I crept down the stairs, staying in the shadows. The chanting grew louder. I peeked around the corner into the living room. The furniture had been pushed back. Catherine, Victoria, and Rose stood around a circle drawn on the floor. The black book was open in the center. Candles burned with strange blue flames. "The spell is almost ready," Catherine said. "At the ball, when he chooses one of you, his soul will be ours." My heart stopped. They were planning something terrible, something evil. But what about her? Rose asked, and I knew they were talking about me. She could ruin everything. Catherine's laugh was like ice cracking. Don't worry about Emma. On the night of the ball, she won't be a problem anymore. I ran back to my room, my hands shaking as I closed the door. They were going to do something to James Montgomery. Something magical. Something dark. And they were planning to do something to me, too. The next few days were strange. Catherine and my stepsisters were nice to me, too nice. They gave me new clothes. They let me eat at the table. But their eyes watched me like hungry cats watching a mouse. The night of the ball came. I heard them getting ready in their rooms. Music drifted up from downstairs. They were playing those strange chants again, but this time they were hidden in beautiful classical music. Then Catherine called me. Emma, come down, dear. We have a surprise for you. I didn't want to go. Every part of me screamed to run. But where could I run to? I walked downstairs slowly. They were waiting in the living room. Catherine held a beautiful glass of red liquid. We felt bad, she said, her voice dripping with fake kindness. You should have something special too, even if you can't go to the ball. She held out the glass. The liquid inside seemed to move on its own, like it was alive. Drink it, Victoria said. All of it, Rose added. I took the glass with trembling hands. The liquid smelled sweet, too sweet, like flowers that had started to rot. I'm not thirsty, I said. Catherine's smile disappeared. Drink it. Now. Her eyes changed. They turned completely black. Victoria and Rose stepped closer, their shadows on the wall growing impossibly large. I did the only thing I could think of. I threw the glass at them and ran. The glass shattered. Catherine screamed, but it wasn't a human scream. It was something else, something ancient and angry. I ran to the library. The black book. I had to find the black book. Maybe it would tell me how to stop them. Behind me, their footsteps came closer. Their voices had changed, becoming deeper, inhuman. You can't run from us, Catherine's voice echoed. You're part of the spell now. We need your soul too. I found the book where Catherine had hidden it. As I opened it, the pages seemed to turn on their own, stopping at a page with a familiar symbol. Protection. It was a protection spell. My hands moved on their own, drawing the symbol in the air. A bright light filled the room. Catherine, Victoria, and Rose burst in, but they stopped at the doorway. They couldn't come closer. The symbol was holding them back. Foolish girl, Catherine snarled. Her face was changing, becoming something terrible. You have no idea what you're dealing with. I know enough, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. I know you want to hurt James Montgomery. I know you want to take his soul, and I won't let you. Victoria and Rose began to laugh. The sound made the windows rattle. You think this is about James? Catherine's smile was full of sharp teeth now. This was never about him. It was always about you. We needed you. We needed your pure soul to complete our transformation. She raised her hands and the darkness poured from her fingers like black smoke. The protection symbol flickered. Your mother tried to stop us too, she said. That's why she had to die. The world seemed to stop. What did you say? Your mother knew what we were. She tried to protect you, so we cursed her. We made her sick, and now you'll join her. Rage filled me. Pure, burning rage. The book in my hands began to glow. You killed my mother. The words came out of my mouth, but they weren't just my words. They were powered by something else. Something stronger than their dark magic. Love. Love for my mother. Love that they could never understand. The book burst open, pages turning in a wind that came from nowhere. And I began to read. The words poured from my mouth like light. I didn't know what they meant, but I could feel their power. Each word was like a strike of lightning. "Stop her!" Catherine screamed. Her beautiful face was gone now. In its place was something ancient and twisted, her true form. Victoria and Rose rushed forward, but they couldn't cross the glowing line that had formed around me. Their faces changed too, becoming dark and horrible. "You don't know what you're doing," Catherine hissed. Her voice echoed strangely, like many voices speaking at once. "That spell? It will destroy everything." "No," I said, still reading. "It will destroy only the evil in this house." My mother's voice seemed to whisper in my ear, guiding me. Each word I spoke made the darkness around Catherine and my stepsisters crack like glass. "We gave you a home," Catherine said. Her voice was different now. Her afraid? "We took care of you." "You killed my mother!" I shouted. Tears ran down my face, but my voice stayed strong. "You tortured me. You tried to take my soul." The windows shattered. Wind whirled through the room, but it wasn't normal wind. It was made of light and memory and love. "Your mother was weak," Catherine snarled. "Just like you." But I wasn't weak, not anymore. I spoke the last words of the spell. They came out like songs, like prayers, like promises. Catherine screamed. Her body began to crack, dark light pouring from the breaks in her skin. Victoria and Rose tried to run, but they couldn't move. They were part of this too, part of the darkness. "You can't do this," Catherine whispered. "We are eternal. We are powerful." "No," I said. "You are nothing but shadows, and light destroys shadows." The book blazed in my hands like a star. Catherine reached for me one last time, her fingers turning to black smoke. "If we die, you'll be alone," she said. "All alone." I thought of my mother, of her love, of her sacrifice to protect me. "I'm not alone," I said. I never was. Light exploded from the book. Catherine, Victoria, and Rose screamed one last time, and then they shattered like dark glass, their pieces turning to smoke and fading away. The wind died. The light faded. I fell to my knees, holding the book to my chest. It was over. Hours later, when my father came home, he found me sitting in the library. The windows were fixed, the furniture was back in place. There was no sign of what had happened. "Where is Catherine?" he asked. "Where are the girls?" I looked at him, really looked at him. The spell Catherine had put on him was gone. I could see it in his eyes. "They're gone, Dad," I said. "They're never coming back." He blinked. like he was waking up from a long dream. Emma, what happened these past years? It's all so foggy. I took his hand. It's a long story, but it's over now. We're safe. That night, I sat in my room with my mother's picture. The silver necklace that Catherine had broken lay beside it, whole again. The spell that had destroyed the darkness had fixed what they had broken too. "Thank you, Mom," I whispered. "You saved me. Your love saved me." The book sat on my desk, closed now. Its pages were blank, its power spent, but I kept it as a reminder that light is stronger than darkness, that love is stronger than hate. Sometimes, late at night, I think I hear strange sounds in the house, but they're not the sounds of dark magic anymore. They're the sounds of peace, of healing, of home. My name is Emma. This is my story. A story about darkness and light, about loss and love, about the power of a mother's love that even death couldn't break. And unlike the fairy tales, every word of it is true. If you liked my story, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.